What's up, gang? Kevin here, Life22, and we're here for an episode of Flagship Freedom. So, just a quick rant. I stopped listening to the Common Council meetings and I hear the rumors on the street, right? But I stopped watching the meetings. I stopped watching the meetings for the school board probably right around the end of June. So I just got some free time and I picked back up on those after I just kind of polishing off my podcast, my daily podcast I listen to, and news, and putting in a few hours here and there of books and seminars I like to listen to. And I found that I was doing way too many seminars, so I cut back a couple of them just to be able to catch up on meetings. I got to catch up on the Common Council, but I haven't. I just caught up on the school board, and I just, I heard a lot of the rumors on the street and what had gone on, and I had to check into a couple, and I finally caught up on them. It was just, business as usual, right? There's like one meeting every month. They really don't have a lot going on. School hadn't started yet, and then school's now in session. They've got, one under their belt. The one from October is the one I actually just listened to, and they're coming back up with a new board president because the other one had to resign. And I know they did board interview processes to fill the vacancy. They don't specify in their meetings why the board president resigned after winning his most recent election. Rumor on the street is he went Looney Tunes after COVID, which happens when you're, getting up there in age. But I heard of 2 or 3 people that interviewed. I mean, it is what it is. Then they're going to be up for election in March, May, for June or July inauguration. So it is what it is. I mean, the guy who stepped down was an extreme, and here's not extreme, but very left wing. So to get something that set me off in the meeting that I had just listened to from this previous month, was their comments on Jim from the board. To yell at me because I don't remember all their last names. Pointed out, had a discussion item about public comment, right? And the big issue is a lot of people, and the board does come off this way, is they want to stifle public opinion. Any of those board members can say whatever they want at any time during their meeting. So it always irks me the fact that the board, we have a policy that says the board members should not reply to comments. Why not? Why not? If I reach out to you offline and bring concerns to you, you're allowed to state my name and my comments publicly. That is public record. You're a public official. Your response to me should be public. So if I come to you with a public comment, why the hell would you take your comments offline when I can make them public? And I should. If I pose a question to you, everybody else out there thinks that you're leaving it unanswered. Why wouldn't you? Even if it was just to, draft a form letter from the board, kind of like what the Supreme Court does, right? Maybe you have, the dissenting opinion and the concurring opinion, and you've got other opinions that sit on top of it, and others that just say, I voted this way, but I really don't have an additional opinion more than what, so-and-so said. Or I voted no because, and I agree with, so-and-so. So that's something to keep in mind. I don't know, it irks me but the fact, what Jim had said when he brought up the discussion is he goes, I feel like we get a lot of activists that come to the school board meetings, and it's becoming too much politics, right? And it irks me when essentially elected officials, politicians, right? That's the operative. Well, we don't This isn't about politics. This isn't about emotion. This is about the children, right? Well, let's dissect those. Let's create like a little bit of a roadmap here on what those words mean, right? Like, what are politics? I hate when things are political. What does that mean, right? Andrew Breitbart said that politics is downstream of culture, right? So, culture, America, the way you live, the freedoms that you have, the choices that you make, the choices you're allowed to make, right? Like, you're allowed to have choice in certain areas, and you're not allowed to in other areas, right? Like, you can't choose to kill your neighbor. You can choose to kill your neighbor, but there's drastic consequences, and we're allowed to punish you for those consequences if you choose to, not abide by certain rules, right? But, like, you choose to speak out against the school board, that's your right, that's your freedom, right? The way you raise your children, the way you'd like to raise your children, the way that others want to raise their children, the way that others want to raise their children and they want to implement something at the school district for their children, but they have to apply it to everyone across the board. I think that affects you, right? That's part of that affects your culture, that affects your choices in the world, right? So now, because we are presenting it to elected officials, the school board, you bring it up to your governor, you bring it up to your state representative, your senator, maybe your local mayor or common council member, maybe you bring it up to your county legislator, maybe you bring it up to your U.S. House of Reps, your U.S. senator, maybe you write a letter to the president, whatever it is that you're concerned about, you bring it to them, right? The same way that somebody else brought the policies that they want to enact to them, right? Like the consenting or dissenting opinions on a certain topic that is based on culture, decisions, people's beliefs, people's freedoms. Any of those things, once it's brought to an elected official, it becomes politics, which is just downstream of culture anyways. I hate the fact that there is shit in my toilet. Right? Well, the reason it's there is because you ate something. There's a cause and effect, right? So, like, we live in a society with culture, and varying cultures, and varying opinions. And what happens is, all these things live together. And certain things are going to clash, and certain things are going to work together well. Well, two things that work together well still have an end result. They still have political ramifications, right? The politics is the effect, right? That is what is downstream of the effects of your culture. The commingling of your culture with other people's cultures, because each individual is going to have its own little bit of, you're going to have your own little bit of, uniqueness, and, maybe collectively we can put you into a group, or, you know what I mean, and you kind of, or maybe you fit nicely into a group, but you don't fit nicely with this group, and this group doesn't do well with that group, and then, all of us as a whole, or, this community, and then, our community and the neighboring town's community, and then we're all as a county community, and then there's a state community, and a national community, and a worldly, global, community. Great. We're humans, right? We see symmetry in nature where symmetry really doesn't exist. It's something, and we try to draw patterns from things, right? Like we build houses that are square, but nothing in nature is truly square. There's not, trees don't grow square, right? Everything has its own uniqueness and form. We try to build things that are square and level, and tables, and everything's kind of like, symmetrical. That's a human thing, right? And part of that is also putting things into boxes and organizing things, and it comes down to just, how we're structured as human beings so that we can understand the world. We put things into boxes, right? That said, all those different things combine to make our local culture, and those things and those clashes and all these other things have effects. So if two things clash, they're going to have an effect downstream in politics, where they get presented to the board members of the school board, where they get presented to the local mayor or the common council or whoever, right? They're politics. You're going to field politics. You know why? Because there is a greater cultural issue that somebody is bringing forward. This is part of the blah, 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 the activism. You know what it is? You know why? Because a group of people come to the school and say, my kid, we need to have multiple bathrooms, or we need to allow men in the women's room and women in the men's room if they choose to change their gender, for example. That's like the most recent thing, right? And the school says, "Oh, we get a bunch of people that want this to happen, so let's take this under advisement. Blah blah blah. Let's talk amongst ourselves." And most of the committees that are not public comment, not publicized, they're not published on the internet. I don't even know if you can show up to them. I suppose that's why they keep their committees small, so that they don't have to abide by open meetings law. They have to have a quorum of some sort. I guess the quorum of that meeting would be public, so I guess you'd have access to the minutes, but you might not be able to be there in person. I'd have to look into that. Anyways, they don't want people showing up and talking politics, right? We're here for the children. Well, right. But you have a bunch of people that are there for their children, or they think that it should be right for everyone's children, that, body autonomy, and they should be able to determine, make their own decisions, negating parents, for example. And then you get a bunch of other people that are like, whoa, I don't agree with these people. I have the right to raise my children however I'd like to. And they show up and kind of speak their piece. A protest, if you will. They're protesting the direction a board might be taking a topic just because a few outliers had brought something up, right? That's politics, because you're in a political forum. We're here for the children. Well, maybe the government shouldn't be in education. Because, the one thing the government guarantees us is that it'll fuck everything up. The government's notorious for that. 1 out of every 100 things the government does successfully. So, why are we putting everything in the government's lap? Do we just want 1% to be done right? I don't know. But if you don't want politics in school board meetings, then the government should run school districts. We should have private industry do it. Maybe you should do the voucher system. I don't know. But if you're a board member and you don't want to hear the public having activists and lobby groups and people that are speaking their concerns, then maybe you shouldn't be a political entity, right? That's what it is. But that always irks me, is that nobody has this roadmap. They just kind of say, we need to keep politics out of this. Well, look, let's place it on a map. What is politics? Let's define it. Let's do this. Let's not just say it. Let's just, trigger words. You know what I mean? People just say trigger words nowadays, and we're just supposed to, build back better, and inflation reduction, and global warming, right? The globe's getting warm. I don't know, I'm from Western New York. It'd be nice to be warmer. And again, that would shift my industry a little bit. I'd be more air conditioning than heating. So, but anyways, that aside, that just kind of grind my gears a little bit. Want to convey it with you on today's episode of Flagship Freedom. It's been a while since we've had a Flagship Freedom episode, and then I also want to tell you guys to keep posted for tomorrow. I still have to cram down a newspaper article. I want to see what they're talking about in the upcoming ward elections. There's 3 races coming up on Tuesday. I have the skinny on 2 of them. One of them is not really much of a skinny. The other one, I know the grumblings on the street about it. I've got a political take on it. I guess it's like a sports show, right? I'm giving you my picks. And the other one I've got a lot of details on, because I helped with that. I talked with some of the campaign people on that side, and year after year after year of just we're talking underhanded stuff from the incumbent, but all that tomorrow on Life22, episode 3 of Flagship Freedom. So we'll catch you guys tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed this little, rant of Kevin's about school board meetings and how they should let us speak there and things like that. It was only 15 minutes. 15 minutes to hear me rant. All right, guys. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you tomorrow.